struggling, like I'm fighting with myself of wanting to be like this celebrity type of person versus like just my one chain and my one watch and my one car and my big house.
Yeah.
But a part of me still wants to be like young, wild, and free and flashy, and the other part of me is like, for what?
Did you hear me and stuff?
I can see you. It's saying my camera is being used by another application, but I don't see any that are open. Yeah, can you see me?
Yes,
Or
I
hear
can.
me? Okay, perfect.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on. How's your day going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. I just got done with the podcast and I was waiting for you.
How'd the podcast go?
It was actually good. It was a short one. Usually I have an hour long, but then this guy has his college, so he told me just 10 minutes, but it was carried on till 30 minutes. So I was happy. I feel like we did something right there.
Yeah, so, exactly. Nice.
So what made you reach out to me? I'm so happy. You're like the first person who reached out.
Super. Really?
Yes,
that's
I'm
awesome.
Always the one who's reaching out to people, and I'm like, oh my god, someone reached out to me.
Oh, that's dope. So I do a lot of like basically researching through the hashtags on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I clicked on, I think it might have been mental health or something, and I saw your page, and I went to your page and saw like what you were doing and how like your content is so well put together. Like
really?
You have the side by side videos, yeah, and you have like the subtitles and all of that. So I was like, I honestly thought like you were like, it was like big because of how well put together like your page is.
Oh my god, thank you. That means so much to me. I cannot tell you. I just do everything on my phone and everything on my laptop, like just tick.
No.
It was all my first time, just learning off of YouTube and just figuring shit out. I cannot believe someone found my page and thought it was well put together.
It is, yes.
That is so cool. Thank you so much for saying that and coming out.
You're welcome. Of course. You're welcome. Where are you located? Where are you from?
India.
Oh, no.
Where are you?
That's crazy. I'm in Ohio, in America.
Cool.
That's crazy. I'm talking to somebody in India, man.
I know. Welcome to the internet, the 21st century.
That's crazy.
It's so cool. The reason I started with the podcast, when a lot of people are somehow located in the States and stuff, and the reason I started the podcast was, it was to bring together all young people, irrespective of how different we are, irrespective of which part of the country or what language we, like our first language or whatever. All of us are so similar, All of us essentially go through the same shit, like self-doubt, financial issues, health issues, relationship issues. And I just wanted to try and create that community of people where I am able to personally one-to-one build relationships with them. And we're all kind of there for each other along the way of whatever we're going, All of us are working towards our dreams and accomplishing our goals.
I love it. That's dope. That's really dope.
So would you have...
kudos to you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, please go on.
I was going to say, like, it's awesome that, like, you have the courage to actually start a podcast and do all of this because, like, when I first started mine, it was just like, okay, I'm going to do this for mental health and sports. Yeah. I really want to bring awareness to it. Yeah. And, like, it wasn't a big deal for me to start it because it was so easy to start. You just have to keep doing it. And, like you said, just being on your phone and laptop all the time, constantly doing this stuff. Yeah. And so many people were like, oh my God, you started a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I started a podcast. Like, you can too if you just sit down for 20 minutes and make it, whatever app you decide to go through. But that's really cool that you, like, actually started this and are doing it. And like you said, wanting to build, like, meaningful one-on-one relationships because there's not a lot of that anymore at all.
Yeah, I wanted to start a podcast, but I actually loved YouTube and I wanted to, like, be a YouTuber or fucking whatever, and I really struggled with how I look on the camera and stuff. So I had this dream for the longest time, but I was like, fuck, half of my face looks weird, I sound stupid, and, like, just the most shit ever. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with GaryVee. Are you? GaryVee?
Yes.
Right. So I absorb a lot of his content. And I feel like I absorbed it to such an extent where he was actually able to help me get off that. He's if you don't post, then that means you're insecure. I'm like, I'm not insecure, but I was, So I just had to take that first step, and I just recorded my first video on the photo booth, edited on the free iMovie thing, and uploaded it, Just to get over that hitch. So it takes a lot of courage to even take that first step. So even for you starting a podcast, it's not easy, You like, wait, do I have
Mm-hmm.
anything special to say? Would people listen to me? And what people think, like, why is she talking to other people and recording herself? What the fuck, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So usually, because I don't know people I'm speaking to, this is our first interaction. So
Yeah.
my first question would be, what's your story? So
Okay.
you as a person, what's up?
So my story. Let me see. So I'm from Ohio.
Yeah.
I was born in Illinois. Moved to Ohio when I was young, probably about 3 or 4. And I was playing. I played basketball literally my whole life. That's all I did was play basketball. And a lot of people say that, but for me, I was very, very talented, very highly ranked. So
Yeah.
from a very young age, I suffered from anxiety, depression, all sorts of stuff. I haven't formally been diagnosed with bipolar. Parents, like, in high school, like, there's something wrong. I don't know what it is, but like, I don't feel right. And their response was, you're just a teenager. You're going through these different changes. You start your menstrual cycle. You're just emotional.
Yeah.
So all I've been told is you're emotional. So from then on, I just like suppressed it as much as I could. I've had experiences with one of my parents. I told them that I was going to kill myself, and their response was, "Okay, go ahead and do it." And it was just like no sort of like reaction, just so what, as if I wasn't being serious. So from there, I learned to like just hide my feelings all the time, and because of that, I was so enraged. So that led to like different. I was like literally drinking alcohol Sunday through Sunday all the time. When I was not in practice or not in class, I was drinking, and that turned into when I became an adult. I smoked weed all the time, like just all the time. So depressed and anxious, stress, and it helps balance. So that's why I started my podcast, Speak Your Truth, to bring awareness to mental health, especially in sports, because people don't realize that like we are still humans, especially when you're like a really I guess elite athlete, whether it's Division 1 collegiate athletics or professional. It's as if that's our lives. That's all it is sports. Like nobody asks us, are we okay? How are we doing mentally? How is this? How is that? When you're injured, you got to bounce right back. You have no time to really take it in mentally or emotionally. Yeah, you don't have any time. And it's just, okay, you have to get better, you have to get better, you have to get better. There's no focus on like, how am I feeling right now, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. So once I retired from basketball a year ago, almost 2 years now, I was just completely lost. Did not know what to do. I just felt so empty, and it led to, okay, well, either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to have to figure out what it is that I'm going to live for, because right now I feel like I have absolutely no reason to live. And then here we go, advocating for mental health. So I love kids. That's who I try to empower and impact the most, because they're our future. If we don't get to them now, then they're going to end up being adults like us, trying to figure it all out, scrambling and trying to help other people when we're still trying to figure it out ourselves. So if we can get to them now, I feel like they'll be better equipped to be high functioning or well functioning adults in the future. So it's really it's been a heck of a ride. My life. I'm only 26. I'll be 27 in a few days, so I feel kind of old, but
don't feel old. That is so young.
No, girl, man, I'm super young.
What you talking about? If you live for like 100 years, you just like cross the first quarter of life. And think about, since you were from 0 to 10, do you even remember your life? You really started living after you 11 and 12 visually. So you've lived like fucking 16 years? You have way too much time. Girl, get it together.
You talk like 50. That's so funny. But yeah, that's pretty much me. Very silly person, love music. I love to read.
What's your favorite type of music?
Oh man, right now I'm listening to Snow Allegra and Summer Walker. So I love R&B, love contemporary R&B, contemporary hip hop, music that's gonna touch my soul. I can't listen. I love Future. I used to love Future and Migos and all of them, but I can barely listen to them now because I can't listen to, I'm doing this drug and I'm sipping on this drink. I can't listen to it no more. It's cool when I'm trying to turn up or when I'm exercising, but other than that, I can't do it, man.
I see.
What about you?
I love hip hop and rap, and because it really touched my soul as well, you know. I really struggled with not having friends of like-mindedness with me once I was able to figure out, you know, what are my dreams, what are my ambitions. And then I looked at my environment, which was the people around me. It kind of didn't match. So I always kind of used to suppress and not talk about it. You know, my goals, I felt like they were too ambitions and everyone would look at me weird, like, girl, you're just like 16, shut up. I'm 20 now, but earlier I was, right? And all
Yeah.
of my friends were older to me, so I kind of always was in a place where I was very hesitant to like come out as like a person. I was always like someone's younger sister, someone's younger friend, you know. So
Yeah.
hip hop was actually the first genre of music that touched me because it's all about talking about your journey. It's all about talking about your struggles. So once I started listening that wait, people are actually going through exactly what I'm going through. There were people who started from the bottom and came up, and all of us are in this together. You know, whether it was something so simple about wearing the same clothes every day, whether it was
Exactly.
something so simple about no one believing in you and how you rose like a phoenix just because you believed in yourself, you know. And what hip
Exactly.
hop did for me is because all the lyrics are so like lyricky, I don't know. Once you're singing them, they become like affirmations. So when
Mhm.
he is saying that I was able to do this, that is what I'm imagining in my head. I am able to do this. You know,
Yeah.
even though it might sound so superficial, that was something that really helped me set a bar for myself and get my
Mhm.
confidence level up. You know,
That's
so
dope. I
that
love
really
it.
worked for me. And my favorite artist is Nav. Have you heard about him?
Yeah, he's dope.
He was the dopest on the ropest. Like I've never related to anyone in my whole life more than him because I felt
Yeah.
like I'm a one man army sort of a thing. And his song, something like, you know, did this on my own. I don't need no help. I'd rather do it by myself. You know, things
Yeah.
like these, they actually became massive affirmations for me. And it really,
Mhm.
really built me. Like, music built me to, like, in the past 2, 3 years, how I've
Yeah.
built on things, you know? So,
Yeah.
it's such a huge part of me.
I can tell because like how passionate you are talking about it. As if like, do you create music? Because you're.
I
It sounds
wish.
like
Oh my god.
me
I
too. If
wish.
I could sing, man. If I could sing, I just want to learn how to sing and play the piano. That's it.
Oh, how cool. You can learn that. You can learn that.
I don't know. I don't know if my mind can like take. You know what? But being a former athlete, probably I could probably learn it pretty
You know
quickly.
something about athletes? I feel like they just excel at anything they do because you guys develop the most, yeah, you guys develop the most basic characteristics of being a successful discipline,
True.
teamwork,
Mhm.
perseverance, getting uncomfortable as shit and even breaking through that. You know, whether it's in the gym, whether it's like, I don't want to do it anymore, but fuck it, I have to,
Yeah.
right?
Too.
And that spirit of challenging yourself, always trying to exceed yourself. So I feel like these
Mhm.
core qualities that you develop, you can
Yes.
apply them to anything and then you would just fucking excel.
Very true. And I have a friend that I went to college with, and he plays in the NFL now, plays professional football. And he was like really scared, like, well, when I retire, I won't know how to, get a job, and when I work, like, I'm not going to know how to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, you know how to do everything because you've been doing it since you started playing football. You just have to apply that to whatever
Yeah,
job it is. Like,
absolutely.
I've BS'd my ways into like manager roles, all types of jobs I should not have had, but I could actually do them because of all of the qualities, like you said, that I learned from playing sports all my life.
Yeah,
And very simple things, just knowing how to talk to people, build relationships,
yeah.
and knowing how to like pitch something because I learned how to have to get on teams as a professional, having to like have my agent write certain bios about me and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's not whatever you have gone through, your experience to me in life is applicable to almost every single thing that
Yeah,
you do or are going to go through. You just have to figure out how.
absolutely. And I feel
Yes.
like that is where a lot of education comes in, you know, where you're able
Mm-hmm.
to educate yourself about yourself, you know.
Exactly.
What is it that I
Exactly.
like? Only that is when you're able to actually put in those extra hours, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
I've something, the most interesting perspective I've recently had is I would tell myself I'm lazy because I felt like I couldn't match the work ethic of my visions. I would see people talking about I'm pulling 15-hour days, 16-hour days, and I'm like, shit, I get tired after 5 hours. I need a fucking break. You know, I was like, I can't do anything meaningful, you know? That is when I realized Gary's actually mentioned it. He's like, no one is lazy. You just don't love it enough. You know, imagine you procrastinating on your favorite TV show. People watch like their favorite TV shows in a night. They're not sleeping, they're just eating and they're wholly synced in it. Why? Because you love it so much, you know? Even though you're getting entertained, but it really communicates with your heart, you know? You're really able to relate to the characters, you feel like they're your friends and shit, whatever, you know? It just goes on. And as
Yeah.
soon as you come to a place where you really, really love something, you're no more lazy. And you know, we have a bad habit of saying, I feel, that, you know, he's smart, she's smart, he's lazy, she's not lazy. And you, if you continuously are told something, you start to believe it. And if I
Yep.
start believing I'm lazy, then I would just be like, fuck it, you know, anyway, I'm fucking lazy as shit. Why am I even trying to do something, you know? But once I
Exactly.
realized I'm not lazy, I just haven't really found what I love, and a little bit of effort is required, a little bit of sacrifice, then it's just a whole different ball game of how my actions kind of develop from there, you know?
Very true. So how did you get to that like mindset? What changed for you?
I read a lot and I
Yeah.
studied a lot, and not in terms of school and shit. I really, so example Nav, right? I'll just give you his example. I really, really studied him, really, really studied his lyrics, whether it was any artist. And there's so many people I looked up to. I studied their journey. I never cared about where they reached, what they did. I wanted to know what they did before, who they became, right? And once I
Exactly.
started studying that, I started picking out bits and pieces here and there and started creating my own blueprint. So things like how people value perseverance, you know, people value commitment. Like if you said you're going to do something, you push yourself and do it. That kind of thing builds up, right? Like if you promise yourself, I'm going to go to the gym every single like alternative day, right? So of course there are going to be days where you don't want to go and your body just gives up, but you go for that extra 5 minutes. That little extra
Yep.
5 minutes, how it built your character, is just going to be another ball game, because 99% of people won't do it. And I studied this article on the one percenters, which is most of the world's population is with the 1% of people. So this article spoke about what is it that the 1% people have that the 99% of us don't. And it spoke about they're actually the same people. It's just that little extra attributes that change the whole game, which is believing in yourself when all odds were against you, which is going to that one extra mile where it did not make sense whatsoever. You know, when
Yeah.
everyone was against you, when no one fucking believed in you, just constantly talking to yourself, constantly writing your dream goals, you know, actually believing in yourself, just these things. And I picked up on them. So I was like, wait, I'm going to work on this, you know, when they spoke about work ethic, when they spoke about something who really is very purpose driven, you know, because when I want something for myself, like I want a fucking Lamborghini, right? I'm very motivated, very pumped. I'm like, I'm going to get this car. It's my dream car. But when something doesn't really go in my favor, I'm like, you know, I can live without it. Life's not that bad,
Exactly.
you know? You settle for good. But once you have a bigger purpose, like I really love cars, but now I want to get a car to show the young people that it is okay for you to have these materialistic goals, as long as how you get to those materialistic goals changes. So you know, I would want to
Exactly.
create something that really adds a lot of value to people's life, right? Whether it's a product, whether it's a service. So now that car and the money that I get would be the byproduct of what I created for the people. Now it's so much more meaningful, you know? I'm still true to myself, but at the same time, I've channelized my energy in a different way. Instead of suppressing it, like, you know, materialistic things don't bring you happiness and all that's bullshit, you know? Just trying to get this new perspective in, um, I guess, to like the young people, right? So I feel like just
Yeah.
small things like that, they really open your mind up. And I really read a lot because I gave up on school. So once I gave up on school, I was like, I'm gonna be the most educated person in my industry. So I hated
Nice.
reading books. From that point on, I read so much just out of not because I enjoyed reading, but because I wanted to know. It was all information consuming, you know? What is this person doing? What is this person saying to me? Just picking up. Whether it was YouTube videos, I have so many sticky notes on my walls and just writing shit that made sense to me. Just things like that, you know? So I feel like
That's dope.
all of that combined kind of a thing.
So you said you're only 20, right?
Yeah.
You're like probably the most woke 20-year-old young person, and I say this as a young person,
Thank
but
you.
like
I appreciate
just it's like you're welcome. There's a lot of people are so superficial, don't take their mental health or their wellness serious. I think we're getting to a point now as young people where we recognize that it's not necessarily we have to push through and we have to work hard and we have to go to school to do this. Like you said, you stopped going to school. Most people are scared to make that decision.
Yeah.
So it's really, really, really dope. I met a young lady I was working with a few months ago, and she was like going to law school at this very prestigious university in Chicago.
Yeah.
So it costs like, money
Yeah.
that none of us really have.
Yeah.
So I'm like asking her, why are you in law school? And she was like, well, I like this, and I like this. And I'm like, okay, so let me ask you a different question. Do you want to be in law school? And she was like, no, not really. And I was like, so what the hell are you doing it for? Like, you're 18, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You can change your major 30 times if you want, or just don't go. And she was like, it'll be a really good job, and I can do this, and I can impact the world and my family, and blah, blah. I was like, you can do that without going to law school if you're going to waste so much time and money.
Yeah.
But not only that, just not being true to who you are and what you want to do. And that's something that I like really struggle with as a very a young person, a very young adult. And where I'm at now is like just breaking free. And like you said, it seems like everybody and all the odds are against me, but I like it like this. I'd rather be like this and me be myself and me be at peace versus me like literally fighting demons because I'm trying to be all these different people that all these different people want me to be. Yeah. So I'd rather just have me and my one personality than trying to be 16 different people for 16, different people.
Absolutely. One thing that really helped me was because I was always surrounded by everyone who was older than me. I feel like that also I got a little bit wisdom from there. And then suddenly I was just thrown into this place where I had no friends. I was super social, we partying and things. When older people partied like older people, right? So I was a cool kid in school and shit like that, right? But as soon as I felt like, something doesn't feel right inside, I had to stop. And from suddenly having such a huge social life to having so many friends and being all alone to a point where you're actually staring at the wall. I was never such a phone person. I would never like find myself scrolling through an Instagram feed like crazy, because I had a life kind of a thing, So once I was thrown there, once I was able to keep my phone and actually just be at a place where I was actually staring at the wall, I came to a place where I was able to communicate with myself. What is it that I like? What is it that I don't like? And there's so many times I did not know what I didn't like, but I exactly knew what I did not like. And that was more important than knowing what I did like, right? I felt like I was in the wrong company. Every time we would come back from a social gathering, I would emotionally be exhausted. And it was very overwhelming to even take that action, you've been friends with people for years, or anything, any habit that you're in, whether it's people, whether it's being with your family, whether it's, school or whatever, taking that abrupt decision is very overwhelming. But I feel like once you're able to do that and just be kind of blank slate, and it begins from you. And then I just started picking up books that were really for me. One of them was You're a Badass by Vincent Serro. Amazing book. It really empowered me. And it, like the first places where you're trying to figure out who you are, what you want to do. It spoke about everything, from money to this to that, something I was very excited about. And just started picking up books and started writing things down. Then I found YouTube. And I did not know things like this existed. I always thought, you have to go to school, become someone, and then you get the money. But once I saw that there were young people who was just accomplishing their dreams and working really, really hard. And you could see, them from their first video, super shy, mattress on the floor, bah, 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 bah. And then after 2 years later, right, living in the hills and flexing. And then you try to understand what happened there. And then you see the work that they put in. You know what I'm saying? And how they were actually able to build a community and impact so many people. So I feel like a lot of my journey began from there. And I feel like today not a lot of people have the time to be able to sit down by themselves and just be honest with themselves, And I feel like a lot of things start from there.
For sure. I think we all have the time. We don't make the time. Because I used to say I don't have time.
Yeah.
And I started waking up 2 hours earlier or an hour earlier.
Yeah.
And I got time. Or I put my phone down for a little bit and substitute that with maybe stretching or doing yoga or going outside to just sit. Like you said, I'm literally obsessed with solitude. Like, I like being by myself.
Yeah.
And when somebody else is there, Or like if I'm out there, some like when my girlfriend or my parents, whoever come out there, and I'm like, oh my god, like please go back so I can just be alone. Because I like to, like you said, like to connect with myself, communicate with myself. How am I feeling today? Why do you feel like this?
Yeah.
And even just because of that, I've been able to connect with my body more. So if like I have a pain somewhere that I may not have paid attention to before, I'm able to do whatever it is I need to do to treat it to make it feel better.
Yeah.
And even just with exercise, like being more intentional about exercising every day, and not just to lose weight, but for my mind. And I noticed how much better I feel, and it kind of like, it honestly, when I exercise, I don't want weed. Like I don't have to smoke when I exercise. So I'm starting to learn to substitute that for that, so I'm not smoking as much or either at all. And it just being willing to like, I think what's helped me the most is being willing to fail, and then being willing to fail publicly and being honest about that. Because of course I can do something and nobody knows about it. Like if I do something, if I trip over one of these chairs out here, you're never going to know. But if I get on Instagram and I say, hey, like I just had this experience, I know many other people go through this. This is what has helped me. Even though like right now I'm not getting a lot of attention or feedback, I know that I'm still helping somebody. And that's what's most important, is as long as it touches or helps one person, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
What exactly is your dream? 2 questions. What exactly is your dream? And then why did you decide to stop going to school to chase your dream?
I love that. I was about to ask you, what's your dream? I'll answer that first.
Okay.
So, everything is very, very interconnected. And in school, I was always the cool kid, right? I had lots of friends and people wanted to be friends with me. I was good there. But I had a difficult time with my teachers. And I was really bullied by my teachers. And I was so young that I did not understand I was getting bullied. I just thought that everyone's mean, my teachers don't like me. And I wasn't a really bad student, I wasn't like I wasn't the best student, but I was like an average, I just didn't care about studies. But when I did, I was smart and I would just do it. But I had a lot of experiences, bad experiences with teachers, which could have gotten me to such a bad place mentally. But it didn't happen, because once I would be back home, my parents would be good and I had friends. I could just like escape from that and shut that down, I just thought school was difficult. Until I was in India, especially in like Asia specifically, education is big. If you're good at school, like you're set. If you're bad at school, like your life's fucking over. Your parents are throwing you out of their houses, So when I was in the 11th grade, and they really focus for you to be like engineers and doctors. It's a real thing, A lot of people are being forced. I wasn't. My parents were different, but majority of the kids were. So when I was in the 11th grade I feel like is like senior high school. Right. So
it's junior for us. Junior, so it's junior year, then senior year, and then you're done.
Okay. So I guess that's junior year. So I was 11th grade. And I shifted to a new school. I hated everyone, so never spoke with anyone. And used to sit by myself. My teachers hated me, didn't like the class. I shifted to a new school, right? It was just a shit time for me. So I was just... You've seen Mean Girls, crying in the bathroom, having lunch alone. That was me.
Oh my God.
But I was like, it's fine. You don't have to go back home and life's good like that. Irrespective, I saw this guy who would really be kind of depressed and here and there. And I was really able to notice that there was something different about him. But I was so like, I wouldn't say full of myself. I was just in my own zone that I did not pay attention to that. And he failed his junior year, apparently. So he wasn't promoted to the senior year. And he was in science. So obviously he didn't like science, or he wasn't able to perform well. And the principal called. His parents went to speak to the principal. Please let him like take another exam and let him take another hit. And she was like, no, you're worthless, you're a piece of shit, I don't know why you're here, you're worth nothing, and so on and so forth, right? And this guy went back and he took his life.
Wow.
And I did not understand that. Because for me, I am a person full of possibilities, especially in terms of school. I can understand when home situations are different. That is on the kind of everything was related to every environment that he was in. I couldn't understand how was he in such a box that he felt that he had to do something like that. I was really concerned. And that got me to thinking. He wrote a letter before dying, which said that his father was the one who really, really forced him to take up science. He did not like science, obviously, did not do well at it. And the school told him he's a piece of shit. He had so much pressure that he did not want to live on. And I couldn't comprehend that. And once I actually got into it, I saw there are so many similar cases all over Asia, not even India, like in China and Japan. It's insane. And there were so many cases where you're supposed to have an 80% attendance to take an exam. And if you, there were two people who didn't have an 80% attendance, they weren't allowed to take an exam and they jumped off the school building.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what is happening? And then I realized the kind of social pressure teachers are creating, the school system, and plus the parents, just out of being ignorant. First, it's the parents about being ignorant. Second, the school is a business. They're literally trying to run a business, you know? So I wanted to be the person who shows people that formal education has nothing to do with how you're successful you're going to be. It's actually for very, very mediocre ass employees. It has nothing to do with what life's about. And I wanted to be the person who paves the way for young people to show them that this is how you do it. So, you know, if your parents don't support you, if you don't have teachers, if you don't know what you do, you find mentors. I found my mentors through a fucking hip hop song, you know? I found my mentors through YouTube. They didn't have to teach me. I was able to observe and learn myself and pick it up on myself. These books, you know, $5, $10 a book. That was my investment. And I had created a huge kind of pool of knowledge. But I was like, if I paid a lot of importance to education, but not this kind of education, you know? And that is why, that is when I thought that I wrote my dreams and my goals, that I'm going to be one of the, I don't want to say most successful or whatever, but definitely it was one of the most successful people any of these schools combined have seen. And beyond Forbes Asia 30 under 30, this would be an acknowledgement to the teachers who told me I wouldn't be worth shit and who keep telling other people, you know, because no matter how great I sound, if I don't accomplish anything in real life, the parents would be like, you know, who are you? You're a 20-year-old, shut up, right? But once I have achieved something of significant and not just made money, but truly, truly made a massive change in the world, I feel like that is when I'll be able to hit not just the parents, but the kids alone. And I feel like my mission really would be just to directly empower the kids. Because if your parents are going through this, Gary really talks about it, you know, why your parents want you to go to school, because they are insecure. What would the other parents say? What would society say? That your kids didn't go to school, you know, what the hell?
Exactly.
So I just, from that day on, I was like, I am going to be the person to actively achieve something so magnificent all by myself. By no formal fucking education, by real life shit. And just educating myself on such a heavily basis through people who've already done what I want to do, you know? So getting financial advice from, have you heard of the book named Rich Dad Poor Dad? It's a very well-known book, right? I read that one book for like 3 days. I learned more about money than I ever did in my 4 years of high school. I took up business and accounting. That was the moment. Yeah, I swear on my life, you know, I was really fascinated about how people make money, you know, what goes on with money and shit like that. Never learned anything in school. But that one book, it was so simple to understand. It spoke about the same cash flow, accounting, ledgers and shit like that, where I can't tell you how stupid it was in school. Because I was a person who was good with English. So a lot of people in India aren't. So whenever I would take I don't know. So whenever I would take tuitions for my exams and stuff, I was paying a ridiculous amount because we live in a good neighborhood. So they would see where we live and they would charge me thrice the price, which I wasn't aware of. Yeah, and I felt so crushed. I was like, you know, you guys are just cheating us because we live in a certain place.
Yeah.
And I was spending mad amount of money on teachers, and I knew better than they knew. This is something that I was observing. And you know, they were just trying to fool me. I felt so cheated and so bad, you know, about education, because I know English, you know, so it's not about you read something and I can't comprehend it. I want you to make me understand what the essence is. And they would try to explain me the English shit. I'm like, sir, I understand English. Tell me something I need to know. And we had a huge argument over this, and at the end, obviously, he didn't win the argument. And since then on, just everything really piled up. And I was like, I'm not doing this shit, you know? And yeah, and personally, I wanted to be the person who did not go to college. If in India, it is a massive thing. My parents still don't tell everyone I haven't gone to college because everyone just goes crazy. Yeah, it's a major thing. So I just took it upon myself that I felt like this is my purpose, this is my mission, to not just bring a shift in the education system in Asia, but
Mhm.
actually be the person who can say you don't need a system.
Mhm.
Education is available. You have the internet. You started a
Exactly.
podcast. You don't have to go to fucking college to. You might as well know after 10 years they might have a course like how to start a podcast. You know, like how they have filmmaking. Filmmaking,
Mhm.
nothing has to go to school. You make a film, make it 100 billion times. You learn how to do it.
Mhm.
So I feel like kids need to empower themselves and, you know, not be a bitch and fucking, you
Exactly.
know, take some responsibility, you know, if you want to do something.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry the answer was so long, but
Oh, that's real.
um,
No, that's real, man.
I feel like
That's
that
real.
was my why I wanted to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Thank you for sharing that. For real. I agree
Mm-hmm.
though. Like, if I had have known when I was in high school that I could have went overseas and played professional basketball out of high school and skipped college, I would have definitely skipped college because, like, I will say I learned a lot outside of the classroom, like a lot.
Yeah.
But in the classroom, I was asleep every time. I was knocked out because we had practice at 6 in the morning, so I got class at 8. Now I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Or I just couldn't. I literally could not focus, or it wasn't interesting. I felt like I didn't need to know it, which I didn't need to know it. And the degree I have, I've yet to really have a job that I've utilized it for. So it's like, what the hell did I just waste this time for? Now I can't get a fucking job because I've been playing basketball all my life, and they don't care about jobs. Don't care about that. So I was going to ask you too. How did your parents react when you told them that you weren't going to school anymore?
A lot of screaming, a lot of crying, a lot of me real contemplating how I'm gonna leave home, because this was something I believed in from my heart. This wasn't me being rebellious. This was who I was. I wanted my story to play out on Forbes like that. I was really imagining it. So there was a lot of fucking screaming and shit, but I feel like that's how we communicate. Somehow, what was important is our points got across each other, even though there was innumerous amount of like crazy shit, right? But I actually knew what I was doing. I wasn't like, should I was like, I need to do this, and I don't care what you guys have to say. So one of the books I read was Do Cool Shit, and it really spoke about how to convince your parents, you know, about anything. You know, if you really know what you're talking about, make them a sheet and say, this is the pros, this is the cons. So in just that context, I just started showing them proofs of everything. Like, I literally took my business books and showed them. I was like, guys, so this is my business book. It was printed in fucking 2008 by some random motherfucker who just wrote a business book, who's never run a business of his own. And this is a book that I got recently, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad. It costs like fucking $2. And you're paying thousands of dollars for my college. Then they started seeing how the tuition teachers were cheating, you know, taking more money. He himself not knowing what he was talking about. And I wasn't even going to college because it might sound weird, but my sister's friend owned the college. So I would just take exams and I would never go to the college. And I, not going to the college, and all these guys who were going to college, everyone was there and no one knew. They were as clueless as I was.
Really?
Yeah. And then there were these invigilators who like kind of roam around so that you don't cheat and stuff. They couldn't give two shits. So there was this girl beside me. I was like, hey, can I see your paper? She's like, yeah. I just copied her fucking paper. The person had said in back of me copied mine. That is what was going on. I was like, am I really investing all this money into this? And I just showed them the proof. And I really started educating on myself. They were like, Acha, if you're not doing this, what is it that you're going to do, right? And then I just started, you know, really figuring myself out, started talking about YouTube, even though I did not know so much. But then they knew that irrespective of what I was doing, this is something that was so wrong from right and left. And I feel like a lot of people, I feel like they say, you know, should I quit college, should I not? Like, if you have to quit college, you know it in your heart, you don't have to tell anyone. And you should know what you're talking about. You know, you should really know the pros and cons of it, you know? So I feel like I really educated myself on what I needed to do. And it was a long run. And if my parents literally would have forced me, I would have literally left the house. Because I knew it. Yeah, I just knew in my heart I couldn't go. Every time I would go to take that exam, I would feel like my soul is getting crushed. Because I never felt like I would do something that I don't believe in.
Exactly.
And I just knew that I feel like a lot of a lot of people these days, like just really really young people, you know, who are 18, 19 and shit, you know, you need college sometimes because not everyone has the strength to have that sort of a discipline to do it on your own. It takes a lot of discipline. You have no
A
school
lot.
hours, there's no one watching you, there's no teacher, there's no boss, it's you, flat out. So I feel like just being in that whole thing.
Do you ever want to come to the States, or you plan on staying
Oh
in
my
India?
god, my dream has been to move to LA since 2 years.
So,
Like an insane person. I remember having fucking vision boards and everything. And recently, because I started the podcast, because I was like, I don't know anyone, what am I gonna do? The culture difference and everything is a shock, right? So I made a lot of connections through my podcast, just connecting with people who live there. And people are really nice. So, you know, just look how you and I connected, right? Just things like that. So I spoke with my parents, and anyway, I was like, all the money that you're saving now from not sending me to college, I need it when I need it. So I turned 21 on the 23rd of November, and I wrote in my diary and shit that I wanted to go to LA before I turned 21. So I'm coming in November for a month because I can just afford a month right now because the staying and stuff is expensive, and I wish I could take a night shift and stuff. I can't because it requires a visa and everything. But somehow I feel like I'm gonna create a barter system where I can be someone's roommate, and in exchange I can like fucking do the dishes or cook some food and shit. I don't know. Just somehow try to figure shit out, you know, just grind it out somehow.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so LA has always been the dream.
Yeah, that's super dope. I've been thinking about moving there. Been looking at, like, I have this real estate agent email me like these huge $1 million mansions, like multi-million-dollar mansions, like once a week. He used to send them daily, but it's like you said about the car, the Lambo, it's like we all have these materialistic dreams that have been taught to be humble, and we shouldn't want those things or aspire to those things. So like you said, when for me things go wrong and I'm like, oh, you know, nobody's going to want to be on my podcast, I'm never going to like book this person, you know, I don't need that house. Like I can just get a regular house. It doesn't have to be that big. I can get an apartment, or you know, I can drive a car. You know, all this is convincing myself that like I either don't need it or don't deserve it, or it's not attainable, when really, like you said, all you got to do is stay focused and work hard, discipline and work hard. That's it. And just keep going. And do you like Cardi B?
Yes, I'm not super into, like, haven't studied her, but I've definitely heard a ton of her music.
If you haven't heard her song Get Up 10, listen to it.
Get Up 10. Let me write that down.
Get Up 10. Yes, that's my song. And she's basically saying, like, you can knock me down 9 times, but I'll get up 10. And that's how I feel like I'm every day getting knocked down by something, whether it be financial issues or, you know, recently I had 4 or 5 podcast episodes recorded, and I was in the process of getting a new phone. So when I was like deleting everything off my iPhone, I forgot I didn't transfer those episodes over. So they were gone, and I was like, bro, like, I'm fucking done. I'm done with this podcast. I quit. Like, this is the end of the world. And yeah, so it's just you somehow trick yourself into thinking that shit, when things go wrong, I convince myself everything is going wrong. But what motivates me is just
nice houses.
Just dream. Yeah, dope house, man. 6, 7 bedroom
I love
house.
houses as well. So cool. Do you follow like really cool Instagram pages that have really beautiful houses?
I did, and I was like, I need to unfollow it because I was getting so caught up in that. Because I was like so caught up in like already feeling like I was already there, being there, instead of like, okay, I got to actually work to get there. Like, it's not just going to come out of nowhere. So I was like, let's just focus on, like, have that in my mind, like, that's where we're going, but how am I getting there? And that's always been my problem, is being so far in the future that I don't work to actually get there. I just daydream about it. So now I'm like, okay, it's there, but don't think about it. You already know that it's there. You don't have to, you know, do anything else except for work for it. That's it. Because I have, other than the money that I need to get that house, I have everything I need right here. You know, so it's all about just focusing on what I got to do to get there. But yeah, listen to that Cardi song. It's a really
100%. You know, there's another new one that I've just found out is so good. It's Post Malone's new album. It's called On the Road. It's featuring Meek Mill and Lil Baby, another guy I love.
I love Lil Baby. He's really little too. I saw him in concert. He's really
Yeah?
little. He's like literally this big. Like,
Wait, have you heard his song Global?
I don't know. I think I
Wait,
might
it's
have
like
heard it the
switch
other
it up
day.
and went global.
I
Can't
don't
play
think so.
around.
I'm gonna put all of this down.
It's a dope ass song, you know. When I'm like shit, I'm just stuck in my room and shit, and then I heard that song. It said global. He said switch it up and it went around global.
That's
Can't play. I had to grow up, and it just shit like that. It was fucking amazing.
You gotta be a rapper now. First Indian rapper. Well, no, it's not Indian.
Nah, yeah, I think so. I feel like he's just Indian, but he wasn't born here.
Okay.
So in Indian, like you have a lot of like categories. So he's like Punjabi.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so I gotta go see that too.
So
you can.
Sorry, I didn't catch you.
No, I said you can just tell me instead of me looking it up because you already know, so I can just learn from you.
Yo, those songs really moved me. So anyway, I was asking you. So, how are you feeling mentally now? Is everything good on a scale of 1 to 10, or do you think there's still a lot of improvement that needs to be done?
I would say a work in progress, but so much better than I've ever been. I think now is more so working on number one, like not getting super upset or depressed when things aren't going my way, and instead of like self-loathing or being so hard on myself, just saying, hey, like today was just a bad day. You know how to fix this. You'll bounce back. It's not the end of the world. You'll be here. And also, like I said, I can go from 0 to 100 so quick. But right now, my biggest issue is white people. Not gonna lie. Here in America, racism is like at an all-time high, and also being gay, it's like I feel like I'm constantly having to defend myself, like whether it be because I go in the store and somebody's watching me all the damn time, or getting funny looks because I'm really tall and have a very athletic build. So it's like I'm just constantly on guard and ready to react instead of just letting people look just fine. Whatever you're looking at, go ahead and look. It really, whatever you're saying in your head, or if you say it out loud or just whatever, it doesn't matter. And in terms of like white people just trying to be the reason that they start to like or respect black people. So whether it be because I am mannerable, because I'm intelligent, because I'm well spoken, because when I become more successful than I am now, whatever the reason may be, and having them treat other blacks differently because of their interaction with me. So that it's just nothing else really bothers me or upsets me aside from that. Traffic, I don't like to drive sometimes because people drive really stupid here in America. I don't know about over there, but people drive.
Oh, it is so bad here. You have no idea. There's no traffic lights. Everyone's just trying to take over each other. And I am a master at that. I am a great driver. I'm going to take over every fucking big ass car with like...
If I ever come to India, I'm not getting your car. I'm going to get...
Yo, I'm safe, but I'm just fast. I hate because I'm a girl, and then they would see like a girl's driving, so they would try to overtake me before they can. I'm way ahead of them. I'm just so egoistic about that.
That's crazy. So you guys really don't have stoplights.
In like fucking 2 or 3 places, especially where I live, it's not like such a major city. Mm-hmm. So just like we have stoplights, but there's no traffic. Like people move in lanes. There's no lane here. Who was getting first is going first. Whenever you find space, like everyone just wants to fucking go ahead.
That's crazy. I gotta experience that, man.
It's fucking terrible.
I've played basketball in Europe and Australia, and like in Spain, for example, I would never want to drive there because they drive so reckless, and everybody has a stick shift. I can't drive a stick shift. We don't really have those here. Except in like certain foreign cars.
What don't you have?
We have an automatic, so basically I just push my foot on the pedal and it goes. Yeah, that's it. So I don't understand how y'all this. I can't do that. I did it. I tried it in Australia, and I ran up on the curb and was this close to hitting somebody's mailbox. So after that, I said never again.
A mailbox is fine. I thought you were this close to hitting somebody. Mailbox.
Oh no, Jesus, no. That's my biggest fear, man. And
hitting someone.
Huh?
Hitting someone?
Yes, I'm like, because first of all, I can't see, so I probably really shouldn't be driving. I need glasses. I don't always wear my glasses. So
I'm
like
not
at
getting in
night,
your
so
car.
please don't get in my car. I don't even want to get in my own car sometimes for me. But like, I was outside. It was really late one night, and I drove past. So I always like if I'm driving on a very narrow street where there aren't any lanes. Like, if, for example, the apartment complex I live in now, you know, you have one car going one way, one car going the other way. No lanes though, no lines, nothing. So I always drive in the middle because I get so scared that like somebody's gonna be walking in the street and I don't see them.
Yeah.
This particular night, I'm driving in the middle. Thank the Lord, because there was a baby boy, like he's a toddler, a little kid, like on the side of the street, and he runs into the street like right after my car drove by. And the only reason I knew that was because I heard him scream, like, or laugh, whatever he was doing. And I looked in my mirror and I was like, oh shit. So I'm thinking like I ran his toe over or something, but he was cool. But like that's like, yeah. So driving for me,
Yeah.
don't get in my car.
Don't worry about it. So what's it like? Do you want to move to LA? What's your plan? I know LA is so, I wouldn't say forward, but it's way different than Ohio. You know, Ohio could be really typical, but LA is really, I feel like, way more respectful and aware and woke and, you know, respectful and just dope culture-wise.
For sure. Ohio's very conservative, very white. Like I said, there's a lot of black people, Mexicans in certain places, but that's about it. You don't see too many other people here.
Yeah.
LA, like you said, is way more respectful, progressive.
Yeah.
So right now, we're trying to move to Chicago because Chicago is very similar to LA in that sense. Way more progressive, way more diverse. Mental health, they're doing great work there in Chicago. There's so many sports teams, so very good for what I want to do.
Yeah.
But my ultimate dream goal is for sure to give me a mansion somewhere in the hills in LA. You know, I used to want like a whole bunch of cars, but right now I don't care what kind of car I have, as long as I have a driver to drive me around. Pool in the backyard, a chef, tennis court, basketball court, bowling alley, movie theater, all I need in the crib. And I'm telling you, I get these houses emailed to me like daily or weekly, and there's so many houses like under 10 million that has all that stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like 10 million ain't nothing. I'm talking like I already got it. Like, man, 10 million ain't nothing. But that's what
it's
drives
true.
me.
The time you actually register it, your mind's gonna open up. As soon as you're like 10 mil, then you give up before you start, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of rap music helps you expand your mind. They're not just talking about bitches and drugs. It is a fucking AP Rolex, you know, like a fucking bust down AP and shit, you know, $100,000 watch. So how can you not afford a house, right? So you're like, fuck it, like, you know, I want some diamond chains and drip and fucking ice on my teeth and shit.
Hell yeah, I dig. I used to be so materialistic, whereas now it's like I just need one chain, one watch, couple rings. Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, like, I'm real simple. Just give me the big ass house, two nice cars, and a driver. That's all I need, and food, good food. All I need.
You know, something about LA I'm learning. Why is it like my dream place? Is because it really spoke about people there. It's who you know, how you know, who you get connected to, where you end up working. You just never know. And if you're really a solid person, you need to meet the right person, just like that one person. And because LA is a whole place where everyone's in the same drive, you know, where everyone's trying to accomplish something, everyone trying to build relationships, network. So I feel like as soon as you get thrown in that environment, you really start to figure yourself out and say, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is what I need to develop, and you know, just things like that. I feel like it gets you really, really. And then rap songs, right? Welcome to the West. It's where people get rich at.
Yeah, you know every song. I think you know more about hip hop than I do. Like, I'm convinced.
Yeah, that was my religion. That's how I was like, my mentor, sensei. So that was the fucking vibe, you know?
It's dope in LA too, because you figure there's so many. This is, I think, a good thing, and it could be, depending on how you look at it, negative because of competition, so to speak, but I still think it's a good thing, is there's going to be so many people like you in LA that you can connect with, like you said, finding a roommate or something, because it's a whole bunch of 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that's run away from home, or, dropped out of school to go be an actor, actress, just whatever, or, transferred schools because they want to be in LA, whatever the case may be. Or people like me who want to be there because I know that's probably where my career will really take off, where I need to be. And there's so many people that look like you, that look like me. Like you said, just
one thing I'm so happy about, that I was also scared of racism, and at least I don't have an accent. I'm so happy about that. Just small things like that. But LA itself is such a place which is so diverse that I feel like I wouldn't look different, and no one's just gonna be like the odd one, Asian, weird, brown fucking kid.
There's a whole bunch of you out there, man. It's like, even with Hispanics and Latinos, they have like neighborhoods. Even in Chicago, they have neighborhoods, like little
Koreatown. I really want to go to Koreatown.
Like that's all. Like, they have little Bangladesh in LA. I didn't even know that. In Chicago, they have little Italy, Ukrainian village. They even have like a neighborhood. It's not called like Nigerian anything, but it's like a lot of Nigerians in that one area. So it's really, really cool. So I think especially with you being young and with your personality, your drive, what you're passionate about, you loving hip hop. People argue all day who invented hip hop, New York or LA. So you're right. Regardless of the mecca of art, of hip hop, of movies, of everything. So I think you would love it. And it honestly would probably be worth the struggle if you can make it work, which I know you can.
Gary always actually spoke about, I'm not sure if you've consumed a lot of content of his. He's truly, truly, truly amazing. And I feel like he is a person every young people should listen to, because it's who you're listening to, right? If you're constantly listening to criticism and backlash, then your mind is just in that negative hole, like, fuck the world, it's so unfair, there's fucking racism, there's this and that. You get into that hole and you get into a place of unhappiness. But when you're listening to good people who constantly filling in your ears, that yes, there would be negative people, but once you understand that they themselves are going through such a hard time, that just comes out, right? You don't know, it's some guy who would be really, really mean to me is fucking getting beaten up at his home. I don't know fucking that. Now I know, I have empathy for him. I pray that he actually finds true happiness, that he doesn't continue that anymore. Just shit like that. So Gary was one person. He's like, you want to move? You move today. And this girl was like, I can't afford it, and how am I going to live, and all sorts of shit. He's like, get humble as fuck. Live with 6 roommates. Have ramen every night. And things like that, So I was like, even it's going to be expensive for me, because actually Indian money converted into dollar is anyway super expensive. And LA itself being a really pricey place. So I was looking for hostels where actually I will in fact have like 6-7 roommates. And because also I'll be new, it's going to be easier for me to connect with people.
Exactly.
But what I'm focusing on is being in a good neighborhood, because I hear LA has a lot of like fucking robbery and things like that. So there's some unsafe neighborhoods. So I really hope you do move to an amazing, amazing place. It's just going to be the start of something super new. And as soon as you can.
We're going to be neighbors.
That would be dope as fuck.
At least we ain't got to drive, right? We can have drivers.
I could drive.
No. Okay, so no, because I'm pretty sure you guys drive on the opposite side of the road. And you guys drive on the same side of the car as us, or the opposite side of the car?
I didn't understand that. What is opposite?
Okay.
Like cars coming here and cars coming there? Are you talking about that?
Yeah. I think
no.
You guys...
it's divided. It's like one way.
But like, which side? Okay, so I don't even know how to answer this.
The steering wheel is at which
put
side?
it on like video, because I would have to like. Hold on one second. Yeah, here. Oh, you need the eraser too? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You too. Thank you. That's so precious. These little kids coming in and asking for my markers, man. I don't even know how to ask you. I would have to like send you a picture on IG so I can show you, because it's like, for example, in Australia, we drive one way on the road in one direction, but like in Australia, it's the other way. And then they're on the opposite side of the car. So like, and the driver's side for us is on the left side, but in Australia, it's on the right side.
Yeah, here also it's on the right side.
See, no, hell, no.
Why? Right side is so... See, one thing is like, that's how we learn, right? That's what I'm comfortable with. But I would be uncomfortable with the left side,
So in Australia, listen, I remember the first and last time I drove in Australia. First of all, it was dark, so that was the stupidest thing I could ever do because I can't see at all. Definitely can't see. So I got pulled over because I turned out of my apartment driveway too slow because I didn't know which way I was supposed to go because I hadn't driven before and there were no cars. The one time I needed cars to be on the road, there were no cars on the road to tell me which way to go. Yeah. So I'm like creeping out doing 10 miles per hour and the police pulled me over because they thought I was drunk. So I was like, this is my first time ever driving in in Australia. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. I can go right to my house if you want me to. Like I was terrified. But you're right. How else do you learn if you don't ever try? But you can try without me in the car. Okay. And when you get better, then maybe we'll think about it.
Yeah. So what's your basketball dreams? Do you want to be in that field or do you want to do something else?
Oh no, I am absolutely done playing basketball for sure. I stopped almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in January. I do a little bit of personal training, like just helping kids out and stuff. I have a little brother, so I help them out. Yeah. In terms like the physical aspect of basketball, no. I really want to make an impact on the mental side and do what I can for that because I feel like I've exhausted everything I could do physically with the game of basketball. I accomplished every dream I wanted to accomplish except for playing in the WNBA, which is the national league here. But I got to play overseas professionally. I played at the universities I wanted to play at. I accomplished the different awards or whatever in high school. So now it's more so just trying to stay in shape so I can be healthy and be thin for the rest of my 20s. And other than that, just making sure like if any kid has a question, helping them out. I'm thinking about doing like some sort of consulting in order to like help kids through the process of being recruited because a lot of kids don't know how to pick a school, why to pick a school, and even for some kids like maybe persuading them not to go to school, maybe taking a different route, especially male players, because if they can play overseas, there's no point in going to college and having a college make money off of you, but you're not making any money. So a lot of different things I want to do in terms of the mental aspect and a lot of teaching that doesn't have to do with the physicality of the game. But I think my biggest, I know my absolute biggest goal currently is one, to make my podcast into a TV show. A really, really big time TV show. I'm trying to be like the next Ellen and Oprah. And I also have a clothing line that I own, but I stopped doing it because it just got way too expensive. So I want to revive that and bring it back and start doing that again. And like, I'm struggling, like I'm fighting with myself of wanting to be like this celebrity type of person versus like just my one chain and my one watch and my one car and my big house. Yeah. But a part of me still wants to be like young, wild, and free and flashy, and the other part of me is like, for what? It's more about like, yeah, I got this money to do those things, but after I buy one or two, then do I really need more? But at the same time, what the hell you do with all that money when you keep getting it? So, no, I'll figure it out though. Maybe in my 30s and 40s, I'll calm down a little bit, but we'll see.
One thing I learned was not to suppress your desires because that's who you are. And it's good that once you actually have the Lamborghini, you can say that it doesn't mean shit to me instead of not having it and saying it. Because then I guess you're just lying to yourself. You know what I mean? And what's important is, so I practice Buddhism and we have a lot of meetings and we have a lot of concepts. And that's where I also get a lot of knowledge from because I'm constantly into studying and reading. And we have this huge organization called the SGI, which has its headquarters in Japan. It's Soka Gakkai International. Have you heard about it?
No, I haven't, but we definitely got to link up again and talk about Buddhism.
It is the most amazing thing I feel like that happened in my life. And therefore, I actually found amazing people around me because we have constantly meetings and you all constantly have these people looking out for you. And when I was going through a shit time, you know, when you're going through a shit time, you're not your kindest, you're not your most polite to other people, right? So when people would try to reach out to me, I got introduced by my neighbor where she went through such a difficult time in her life, but every time I would see her, she's like a sunshine. I'm like, there's something so different about you. What is it? You know, she's just so impressive the way she conducts herself as a human being. And she's just so nice and amazing. And you see her, you get that vibe off of her, you know, no judgments, no nothing. And I was like, you know, there's something different about you. What is it? And she told me she practices. I was like, wow, I get it now. I think I get it. And I said, I want to know more. So she introduced me to the organization. But I was kind of young. I thought that being religious, it's not religion. It's basically a way to live life. I thought it's for old people to be super nice and to smile and to embrace everyone. But until I learned it's not. It's actually how you should live in like the 21st century and how people really need it. For example, if I was actually that, now I'm more of an extrovert, but if I was at that time, if I would have even seen the slightest notion of him going through a difficult time, at least I would have said a hi. We don't know how long a hi goes. You know? I feel like people who are on the verge of giving up, they are looking for every reason not to. And they
Exactly.
really don't find any of it. So that really stayed with me, and I learned that I must conduct myself in a more pleasant and warm way. And life is more amazing like that, where I actually can make some amazing friends. So irrespective, sorry, I was getting a lot of calls. People wanted to get in touch with me because everyone wants to take care of you in the community. It's just an amazing thing what people do, right? So it's basically working for the happiness of yourself and others. So you learn to become happy yourself, which is not by discarding things and fucking like being a monk, but it is actually winning in life. You learn to set your own targets, and that's how I learned, that me wanting a car is exactly the right path for me, or me wanting a big ass house. Now, what we were taught was, okay, Devika, how do you get that house? Right? You still want that big house. So something which was shared was, now for you wanting a house, just change your reasons. So yes, you want it for yourself, but make it bigger. So you want it to be, you want a house to become a person who's trusted in the community. You want a big house to meet some amazing people, invite them over, and establish that kind of a community, where you're having meetings and so on. So you want a house to be able to inspire other people, that I struggled and I accomplished my goals, and so can you, and just things like that. So that house is still your dream. But now instead of you flexing on other people, trying to prove something out of your ego, now it's something so amazing. So I'm going to create and provide something amazing for the world that is going to serve the world, where the house would be a byproduct. And with time, instead of focusing on the house, you start focusing on your product. You're like, okay, whatever I'm doing, it's going to be massively amazing. It's going to be a great product. It's going to add a lot of value. I'm going to love making it. And that becomes your whole game. You start establishing your roots. The fruits are a byproduct of an amazing, magnificent tree. So the house and the money and the cars and the chain, everything is a byproduct. So as soon as I was introduced in the organization, there were so many people who were just there for me when I wasn't my most politest and welcoming. And I saw that they were constantly there for me just as friends. And I said, why? Because they understand that you can't be happy unless everyone around you is happy as well. You know what I'm saying? So, you could be super happy, you could have got that house, but your mom is sick. What house is that worth? Or you have a beautiful house, you're having great parties, but your neighbor is actually a piece of shit person, right? Always causing trouble or fucking throwing trash at your fucking house, whatever. Why? Because he is in a bad place in himself, right? So that is why you learn to take care of not just yourself, but everyone in your environment. So the more you help other people, the more you kind of create the cause for your own happiness, sort of a thing. So you just learn and you become this whole big bubble of wisdom on how to live life, kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just sitting here like, damn, I'm taking advice from a 20-year-old, like 20-year-old kicking game to me right now, man. That's great.
It's just something I really learned. I really wanted to understand what was it that made me happy, because I did not struggle with depression, but I wanted to go off to sleep and I didn't want to wake up. I just did not want to deal with the day. I was like, another day. Can't wait for it to be night.
Yeah.
And because I was not young, because like I have my parents here and stuff, live with my parents, so we can't drink and stuff. So you can drink with your friends, but you can't like just fucking bring in alcohol and shit. Like that's not allowed. So I didn't ever go into that situation, but I saw a lot of my sister's friends who went into drugs and massively into it. Why? Because they lacked a purpose. When you don't have something to look forward to, when you don't have something to challenge for, you want an escapism.
Exactly.
So Buddhism really, I've just seen people who practice it, the way they lived their lives impressed me. I've seen people, don't take this the wrong way, but I've genuinely seen people overcome their massive health issues that they were going from such a long time. And it was very scientific. I hope it's not boring.
No, I'm telling you, I'm soaking all of this in. I'm like, I'm listening as if I'm in class right now.
So they really spoke about that. There's no God that gives you something. which is fine. There's so many religions, all religions. So what I feel like with religion is any religion that makes you happy and makes you a better person is good, irrespective of what it is, because I feel like every different religion essentially speaks about the same thing, right? Something like Buddhism, I felt like it was for the 21st century, and it was so scientific. I was like, okay, how does this even work? And then they started speaking about the mind and our existence, kind of a thing. So if you break down our body, it's made of organs, right? Stomachs and fucking shit. Then if you break down an organ, it's made up of tissues, right? If you break down a tissue, it's made up of cells. That's what we learned in school, right? If you break down a cell is the smallest. If you break down a cell, it's made up of atoms. Atoms is the smallest particle in like the fucking world or whatever, right? Now, if you break down an atom, it's made into waves, vibrations. That is what is called quantum physics. So what I am made of, you are made of. What I am made of, this phone is made of, this laptop is made of, it's all made up of atoms. So everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. That is what is quantum physics. So in Buddhism, what they talk about is you learn to align yourself. So this is you, right? And this is the universe. You learn to align yourself with the universe. And they speak about concepts like oneness of self and environment, which speaks about how your environment is a reflection of you. So example, you see your boss, right, or whatever. People are really mean to you. People are really negative to you. Everything's just shithole in your fucking environment, right? That's not their problem. That's your problem. There is something you need to fundamentally change for them to change. And I'm like, girl, really? But I generally saw people shifting just something small inside of them, and that being reflected in the environment, Something like even just being a little understanding, You understand that the boss is himself going through a really difficult time in his life, Might be getting fucking divorced, has difficulty having kids or whatever. And that reflects on how he behaves towards you. Now, instead of having an ego and instead of being like, fuck that guy, you have empathy for him. And you start praying that I really, really hope that he becomes happy. That genuine wish and the way you treat him, instead of getting offended, you're like, it's okay, I completely understand. That really translates to him. And you see a shift in your boss. That had nothing to do with that guy. That has everything to do with you. Because it's not about who he is. It's about how he responds to you. That is what we started learning. And it was about people. Then I was like, wait, LA is not just some faraway fucking place that is far out of my reach. I need to make it within my reach.
Exactly.
So I was like, why do I need to get to LA for my dreams? I need a bigger purpose, because LA is known to be a place of like so many fake fucking people and everyone like just really superficial and this like that. I was like, I'm going to be that young person who creates that warmth and pleasantness or whatever, like just finding a bigger purpose. Now I see that there are so many homeless people. I hope that because that community will provide me with all the opportunity and everything I need, I hope I'm able to provide to that community as well. Whether it's fixing up their homeless issue, whether it's fixing up the water issue, whatever, You're just able to expand your mind in ways you did not know. That is what Buddhism taught me. So once I was thinking about the world, my problems became so small when I started noticing other shit,
That's deep. That's real.
Yeah. That is something that I learned. And if you want to, you're in Ohio, right? So actually Buddhism is practiced in 192 countries. There are 12 million members. And it's just another world. You never see people like that in real. I feel like that is ideally how the world should be. We strive for world peace. How an ideal world is supposed to be like, So irrespective of how different we are, you have your problems, I have my problems. We fight together for each other and win together, So you have your goals in mind, but I also have now your goals in mind. And because life's a struggle, it's an uphill battle. Even though you might be really motivated today, after a week something might happen, you're back down, full of self-doubt, nothing's happening, right? That is why that community is important, that keeps building you up. And I feel like that was one of the most inspiring things I've witnessed. And it was just amazing. So, if you want, you can follow their page on Instagram, which is called Soka Gakkai Official. I'll send you a link.
I'm about to say, yes, send me that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you want to get connected, we can get you connected.
For sure.
I can. I'll raise a request here and someone in Ohio could connect with you. And there are a lot of centers also in LA. I know there's this friendship center, which is also Soka Gakkai centers.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's just something that was incredible happened to me, and not just in
Yeah.
terms of like intellectually how I see the world, but in terms of the kind of relationships I built with people and how I understood these are the kind of relationships I want to build with people outside of like
Exactly.
the organization, you know?
Exactly. And that's so important. Like you said, the people you have around you are so important.
Yeah.
And I didn't really used to believe in it until I like really got to a place of where I was like consistently in solitude, where like certain people's energy was really affecting me. And if I'm around certain people, like my energy either goes up or it's completely depleted. Like you said, I'm emotionally exhausted after going out with certain people that I used to have fun with, or going to a party and I'm like, I don't really want to be here. Just whatever the case may be. Even with basketball, how it started to become emotionally exhausting. I love to travel, and at one point, traveling got emotionally exhausting. So, but I agree. Like whoever you're around, man, like that can make or break you and your situation. And we don't like to really acknowledge that enough. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
But that's
uncomfortable.
yeah, exactly. And it's especially because you may it might be your parent, it might be a significant other, it might be
It's
your
always
best
the people who are
friend.
closest to you
Exactly. And it's
that
hard to
get
have
to
that
you.
conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's hard to have that conversation with yourself and with them. How do you distance yourself from your parents? How do you break up with your significant other because you realize like they're really you may not be
Toxic.
good for each other,
Yeah.
and best friends as well.
Yeah.
But when did you say you were going to be in LA?
The 21st of
Okay.
November.
And then you turn 21 on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Lit. Oh man.
So,
I cannot.
something about Buddhism again, it's the kind of practice that really empowers you. And I love things that empower you, that make you self reliant, where you're not dependent on anyone. You know what?
Exactly.
I'm not getting my happiness when I'm with my friends. I'm not getting my happiness when my family's okay. I'm not getting my happiness when I'm getting jobs or whatever, you know? You learn
Yeah.
to tap into your own potential. And it really, it makes you learn how to become such an invincible person. And there is no God that, like, it's not like God give me this. They talk about that all of this is inherent in you. We've
Mm-hmm.
spoken so many times about that we haven't really discovered what our brains are capable of. So
Exactly.
many times we speak about that. Yet, so many times people think, like, Devika, what are you talking about? All this fucking nonsense. But that time and time again, things have been proven, that mind was not acknowledged as a sixth sense. Only very recently they acknowledged that we have a mind. Yeah?
Mm.
There were only five senses: nose, touch, hear, and all that shit, right? Now they say that when you look into your mind, you can't comprehend neither its color nor form, yet you know that
Really?
there's a mind, right?
Hmm.
So that is what Buddhism talks about, that there is this thing called the mystic law, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically talks about the most practical shit is the law of cause and effect, which we call, like, in the contemporary world, karma, right? What you do
Mm-hmm.
is what you get. And that is the way to live life first, that you understand every bad cause you're creating, you're kind of registering a bad cause, right? So if I cheat you with your money, it's gonna come back to me way hard. Witness that shit.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
likewise, if you're doing everything good, which is with a good intention to reach out to people, respect them, even if they don't reciprocate, you already kind of
Mm-hmm.
registered that good cause. So when you need it, it's going to come to you. And
Exactly.
they talk about the fact that inside you already have infinite wisdom, infinite potential, infinite ability. You just need to tap into it.
Exactly.
And I have seen so many people definitely tap into their abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and it really reflects on how they perform in the society. That is why it's so, like, 21st century. It doesn't ask you to give up on your dreams, rather it asks you to be the best in the industry. If you want to be rich, be the fucking richest motherfucker out there, but at the same time you're going to be a person who creates, like, massive amounts of value, you know
Exactly.
that
I think the
who you are as a
difference
person just communicates through your entire community, that kind of a thing.
for sure. That's dope. And I was gonna say earlier too, like I grew up in a Christian household and have been raised to be Christian.
Yeah.
And for a while, like I was all gung ho. I'm a Christian, like love Jesus. And there was a time I was like, first of all, Jesus is not white because he came from Middle East, and then Jewish people. You have some white Jewish people, but they don't look like they have their noses, their hair. They're very you can identify them.
Yeah.
And so it was like the first thing was how can I how can I believe in something and I don't really know what it is in the religion specifically itself, and then learning that it was written by so many different people over 1,500 years, and then just recently, like somebody said, why is Jesus the main character, but he has not one book? He didn't write one book in the Bible, not one of them. And just trying to make sense of all this different stuff. But I literally just said the other day that I don't necessarily believe in religion. Like you just said, it's more so all of that is within me. I can pray, all of that stuff, but it's more so like you said, getting aligned with the universe. And I love to meditate, love to be in solitude, all those types of things, because now I'm one with me. I can hear me, and also I can hear the universe. And what do I need to do next? What's next? Or just feeling that sort of like relief of pressure that I don't have to have it figured out because it's going to happen anyway. Karma.
Yeah.
Perfect example. I love that. Have you read the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success?
I haven't.
You should read it. Very good book. Very, very like easy read. Very easy to comprehend and very easy to apply. And it basically just talks about karma. It talks about all sorts of things. Pretty much matching, I don't want to say exactly Buddhism, but maybe certain practices of it with being successful, being an entrepreneur, being wealthy, and how do you attain that and attain your happiness and then sustain it. So I think that's super important. And like, it's hard when you are taught something and like almost forced to believe it and you want to try something else. Like for me, like I'm almost scared to not believe in Jesus now because I want him to strike me down, because now I'm doing like I'm practicing Buddhism. So I'm super excited though. Like I've read about it before because I thought it resonated with me specifically, because I like just the, like you said, just there isn't a God I'm going to asking for something when clearly I can go get it myself. It's just a matter of how am I getting it. I don't have to wait to be blessed. I can go and get these blessings for myself. And something else said too is how you use those. How am I using this money? What am I doing with this house? What am I using with my what am I doing with my purpose, with my voice, with my personality? How am I treating people? How am I allowing people to treat me? How am I treating myself? So I would definitely love to learn more about Buddhism and how that can help me, because I feel like from even just reading about it, the little bit that I have, the practices of it resonates with me more than being a Christian. And because Christianity is so like, it's judgmental, extremely judgmental, and more so about picking people apart than unifying them, or what makes you you, and making that, how can we grow that and develop that so they can be a better you.
Especially in India, religion is like your religion. You are defined by that shit. More than you're an Indian, you are like what religion you follow, right? It's like massive here. So there's definitely a God and, doing right and wrong. But something I understood, which we were told because we were Indians, because religion was a big part. And Buddhism is a philosophy that embraces everyone, irrespective of what religion you follow, irrespective of who you are, what fucking like anything, right? Doesn't fucking care. That is one thing about Buddhism that I love. It never told me that don't do this and do this, don't have alcohol, don't like have chicken and whatever fuck, right? It told me to embrace everything. Once I learned that I'm actually even allowed to embrace other religions, not completely discard them because it comes from the family, right? You don't want to create a disharmony between you and your family. Just saying, with a lot of people, you shouldn't be like, fuck this, I'm going to do this. It's all about how you conduct yourself as a person, right? So what we learned about religion was that first, religion existed for everyone's happiness. First. Second thing, what happened with a lot of religions, because they're so old, there was a lot of priests who took it upon themselves that we know the best, right? And they interpreted everything. A lot of what happened in the religions we follow in India and Christianity, and this Christianity I don't know so much, but specifically Indian religions, is that all these priests wanted to attain some kind of power with themselves. That is why they wanted to be the big person. So you bow to them, you do this to them, you do that to them. That is what. So we don't really know what the religion essentially spoke about. Next, how do you judge a religion? You judge a religion by the person following the religion. How do you treat other people? Are you really going to church every Sunday but treating me with fucking disrespect? And something I loved about Buddhism was the way people treat other people. And the biggest what our religion is It's called respect for the dignity of life. We learn to respect life. I don't respect you. I don't even know you. I respect you as a life, as like a living thing or whatever, you know? That is what we learn
Yeah.
to do. That when I see you like that, I don't see anything that's on the surface level. I don't see you're a girl, you're a guy, you're a what, where you live and shit. I see a life. And we are taught about, you know, recognizing the Buddha in other, which is like the good in other. So irrespective of how terrible of a person you are, once my belief is so strong that you're a good person and that is what I'm communicating to, that is what is going to reflect. So from an early point, I understood this is something I choose. There are a lot of practices, a lot of stuff works. This is what I choose. And essentially talks about that we are in itself a small universe of its own. You know? That is why
I
we're able to connect to it, because it's all energies and it's super scientific. There's no like mumbo jumbo shit, you know? So we were told an example of, you know, like I switch this light on here, like a switch, and the light switches on here. How? It's magic? No. We know that there is an electrical link, right? That is exactly how you create a cause and you see the reflect here. There is an electrical link. That is how you learn to communicate to it.
used
So
to hate when people would like talk about vibes and vibrations until I actually like started reading and studying it, and that it is real. Like it's so real. I used to hate though people like, oh yeah, these vibes and bad vibes and good vibes.
I feel like
I'm
they
like,
don't
man,
really
but
understand what they're talking about when it's superficial. You know, like you give me a bad vibe. But it's true, you know, like when we meet each other, like I get a really good vibe from you. Why? Because we just instantly click and connect. That has the kind of vibrations. I feel like what I understand from it is like your intent. If your intent's good, if you're not kind of judging me and thinking like, fuck, this girl's so stupid, but pretending something else, that somehow translates to other people. You know, when you're ingenuine, when you're just like on the surface level, really sweet and nice, but inside you're like just, I won't say full of shit, but inside you're really just going through a shit time. That is why you're trying to give me a shit time, you know? So
that's so.
I feel like, and that is why it empowers you, you know? That is when we're told that everything is within our reach. Because, like Steve Jobs said, you know, like nothing you see is created by people who are smarter than you. And this is something I've learned. I've learned it by my heart. There was no one who has a bigger brain. There's no one who was put down from the earth. This is your IQ. It's just irrelevant. It's how much I apply myself, I'll be smarter. You know, I don't know shit about football. Basketball. Why? Because I have no knowledge about it. You know a lot. Not because you're smarter, but you were in the game for such a long time. Your experience, your knowledge, everything adds to it. So you're smart about basketball. But I might be smart about something else. You know? It's how you constantly rewire and apply yourself.
I agree. And I was sitting here thinking that too when you were talking about Buddhism. I was like, man, like she knows everything, bro. But you literally said when we got on the phone, all you do is read. You educate yourself.
Yeah.
And if I go and I read about Buddhism, we can sit here and have like a real conversation about it because now I know. It's not going to just be you know, teaching me. We can actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things that gives me so much confidence to be successful or even, you know, well-known, famous, whatever, or do groundbreaking shit is because everybody is normal. Like you said, we're all born, unless you are born rich, you're born just completely normal like everybody else.
Even if you're born rich, you're born just like everyone else. Let me tell you that. Irrespective of how money you have, you will still go through incidents of self-doubt. You know, where you feel like I'm getting judged for not wearing nice clothes. This person's like, I'm getting judged because any of the shit I do is not gonna ever justify because I was given the opportunities, you know?
Exactly.
Everyone goes through the same fucking battle.
Exactly. That's the difference, though. What I mean is, like, they're born with, we can say, one up in terms of money and wealth. They already have that. But in like everything else, we are all the same. And it's like, if, for example, Rihanna can come from Barbados, and even though she has a really like great talent in terms of singing and stuff, if she can do it, I can do it. If P. Diddy can do it, I can do it. If Jay-Z, Beyonce, all these people can do it, the only difference between me and them currently is they just work so fucking hard. Beyonce said she would work for 3 days straight and not eat. There's no way I'm doing that. It's never that deep. But that's the only difference between me and her is just work ethic or certain people that knowledge or just maybe time, you know, anything. Maybe they're a little more disciplined or they might know somebody that I don't know, whatever the case may be. But it is still I'm still as capable of getting somewhere as anybody else is. I just have to apply myself, apply my knowledge, and keep going. If I quit, I won't ever get there. If I stop learning, I won't ever get there. But I'm just as capable as literally anybody else on this planet of becoming successful, of becoming wealthy, of becoming, you know, my whatever my highest self would be in terms of the inside. But I don't like when people, or even in the past, people would say, like, you could never do this, you can never do this because I know you and I went to school with you, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sure Rihanna's classmates said the same shit to her, and look at her now, and where are they? And, you know, I don't understand people like that. And that, a lot of my, I would say definitely my high school and college years were very, like, low because I believed what everybody else, the negative things people were saying about me. And like you said, when you constantly hear something, that's what you believe. And being an elite, high-profile athlete, I was constantly hearing criticism. It was never great. Well, it was rarely ever good job. You did this well, blah, blah, blah. It was, okay, well, you got to do this better. Now we got to work on this. You got to do this. You didn't do this good enough, so now we got to go work. So that's what I just believe. Okay, nothing is ever good enough. But now I'm at a place where, like, everything is good enough. I just got to make it better. Absolutely. That's it. You got any more questions for me?
Yeah, I hope I'm not keeping you for too long.
No, I'm at the library and it closes in like 15 minutes. That's the only thing.
Okay, fine. So it's all good. Okay, so before that, anything, because I would want to empower you. So one of the books that you can get started on to learn more about Buddhism and even like just life in general, it's called Buddha in Your Mirror.
Okay.
It has a foreword by Herbie Hancock.
Okay.
Do you know who Herbie Hancock is?
It sounds familiar. Does he have any other books?
No, he's like a jazz player, really popular jazz player. I guess he's also African American. No. And he's really good at what he does. So he wrote the foreword for the book. He's just amazing.
Nice.
So that book is actually just, it's like the most practical shit ever. It's going to explain you exactly how it's done. And I'm going to get in touch with people here and ask how can I get someone internationally connected. And you can have people reach out to you. And I feel like once you start, I feel like I would have nothing else to say to you. Like a whole new world opens before you. And you truly become self-empowered, you know. You won't need anyone else. You can legit, like, just make shit happen by yourself. And that would be, like, one of the most amazing things.
Yeah, right? For sure.
So try to get this book. I'll try to find out. Please stay in touch. I would just be super in touch with you. All right? Thank you so much for reaching out to me. You're fucking amazing.
Thank you.
I am so happy we got to connect. And I know for a fact we'll connect in the future.
For sure, man. Just keep in touch.
Absolutely. And you know, one of your biggest strengths is you have a good heart. And I generally feel people who are good people inside from the soul, always have an upper edge on irrespective of how successful a person is. Because the kind of person you are, every time you have an intent, every time you have anything, that always foreplays any kind of talent, I feel. You know, hard work beats talent. And you learn to really, really develop and polish yourself and your abilities. And that is essentially what's going to play out in the society, you know, where you're able to make money and shit like that. So
I agree.
You're so amazing. You should know that. The fact we just connected and stuff, these are the kind of things that people crave, you know, that you can be there for someone. And adversities are your advantage. So everything you went through is just going to add it's going to become like a wealth of knowledge that you have. Because every experience that you've had, you have something to share for someone who went through a similar experience, right? So all the strength and gems that you have is the kind of life you experience. So having like full belief in that, please write down. Something I really know that works is writing down your prayers and being very concrete about it. Once you do it, you really start understanding what it is and how your mind opens up. And
that's real.
It's just one of the, I know we're short on time, but it's just, I can't wait for you to accomplish what you accomplished.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. I love you. Thank you for connecting. Speak to you soon. Stay connected. Okay?
Of course. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.